Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to talk about how to be professional in the reptile community. I don't think this is a community that requires a whole lot of professionalism. I mean, we don't need to be as professional as, say, the U.S. government or Congress. Actually, we probably should be more professional than those yahoos. But we don't even need to be as professional as your high school janitor. Like, you know, but there is a level of decency and professionalism that I think we should treat each other with. A little bit of decorum goes a long way.
And we're going to talk about it, but is it really, what we're about to talk about, is it really professionalism or just being a decent human being, right? Like,
yeah, that's probably a better term for it. It's more about being a decent human being.
Yeah, like, just don't be a jerk. Like, I don't know. To me, it's like there's professionalism and then there's just not what that was. You know, like, yeah. I'm not the most professional person. I'll admit that. At work, I should probably be a little more professional than I am. But I don't do things like this because I'm a decent human being. At least I try to be. I like to think I am. I'm
very professional at work. But the rest of the time, I'm not. Because it's not a work. I don't even consider this work. But like when I'm at either one of my careers I've been in, I try to be very professional. Because it's required.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
This is more for me to have fun, so.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know. I think something we're going to discuss is, like, this is beyond just professionalism. This is just...
straight up, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't be a dick.
Which should be a t-shirt. Should be, don't be a dick.
I bet there are already. If you look it up, I bet there is. I wouldn't actually Google that, to be honest. You don't know what you're going to find, but I'm sure there's a shirt like that.
You know what you're going to find if you Google it. We all know what you're going to find if you Google that. Yeah, don't do it now. What are you doing?
No, I'm pulling up the...
thank God.
Getting the rest of the stuff ready that we're going to be talking about.
Basically, Caleb's been taking over Instagram for a while now because I simply haven't had the time in years and years and years. You're doing a really great job with it. Now, when people message you, they don't know if they're talking to you or me, possibly. But
right.
It doesn't really matter. That's irrelevant at this point. So let's play a game. Let's say I message Olympus Reptiles Instagram. And let's see how this should go. Let's role play how this should go, and then we're going to show you how it did go. I would send something like, hey Olympus Reptiles, I watched your video about carpet pythons. Here's a picture of this python I bought as a short-tailed python. Do you think it's a carpet python? And you would say?
My typical response is, thanks for reaching out. You know, based on the photos, this is what I think. And I always say based on the photos because here's the thing. Photos can be very deceptive.
They can.
Intentionally or non-intentionally.
Truth.
I mean, I have bought snakes off Morph Market that looked one way and I got them and I was still happy with them, but they definitely look different. Or how many photos do you see of just people on Facebook that you know and you're like, wow.
All the filters that try to fix this.
Yes.
Yes.
So I always preface that because photographs are half the story.
They are.
I would, and then I would give an answer, and usually I have a reasoning of why I think it is the way it is. Because if I just say, yeah, it's this, and I don't give a reason why, one, you don't learn anything, you just learn, okay, this is this. You don't know why it's this, right? At my job right now, I'm learning a lot about plumbing and stuff that I don't know, because I've never worked in that field. And my questions are always, why? I feel like I'm a 3-year-old again. I'm always saying why? Because that is how you learn. There's a reason for it to be this way.
But when you respond to somebody, you're not an ass.
No, I try to be way, way more professional than what I usually am in real life.
Even if their question is blatantly wrong.
Correct.
You're still nice to them.
Yes.
Right?
I may laugh on the inside, but I always am at least respectful in the message.
Exactly. And the way they should respond back to that, even if they disagree with your opinion, is really simple. Hey, I appreciate taking your time, or hey, I appreciate you responding, thanks. Even though I think you're a complete moron,
right?
I don't have to be an ass.
No.
There's no reason for it.
Because at the end of the day, you reached out because you thought my opinion mattered in some way, shape, or form.
That is correct. So let me preface this with what happened, and we'll share the pictures with you. Kurt will edit them in here. Somebody reached out to you. We're going to leave the name out of it as best we can. So we're not trying to call anybody's name out. And they had sent you a picture of a some pictures of a rattlesnake.
Correct.
That they had purchased
as
an albino.
Yes.
So Jack Wagon goes out and buys an albino rattlesnake. Okay? He gets the albino rattlesnake home, looks at it, and goes, "Man, I don't think that there's an albino. I think it's a leucistic. Why? Because I see some blue in the eyes, and the eyes aren't glowing red." Okay. That's what happens. So he sends it to Caleb.
Yep.
And goes, "Check out my rattlesnake. I bought it as an albino, but I believe it to be a leucistic." What was the exact wording this dude used? I want you to hear the whole conversation so we get to the good part you understand.
So his first reach out was, "I would like to speak to you about a Crotalus atrox. I found a blue-eyed leucistic male off a seller I met on Instagram. Have you ever seen a leucistic atrox? I can't find any for sale. Pics. I can't find only pic. I don't even know. I'm gonna skip that sentence because it's not.
Well, try it. Just try it. Read it.
I can't find any for sale. Only pic snake has perfect blue eyes. We're all tripping that the one person who had a Lucy was someone who kept calling it albino with a blue when I bought it." So my interpretation of this when I said was basically the gentleman bought an albino, or what was labeled as an albino, saw that what he thought was blue eyes and a white snake, and wanted some clarification, because something like that is not, to my knowledge, there is not a leucistic atrox public. I'm saying public because there are so many people with backside projects that further the project before they release all the information.
I have seen leucistic, but not necessarily atrox.
Right.
It's more horridus.
Yes.
I believe.
And I've seen some in, I believe, Veritas, but not in atrox. So my response was, I haven't seen any Lucy atrox. I've seen snows, but not Lucy's. And snows are just a double recessive, I think, because every morph or every snake does it differently. Ball pythons have it one way, boas have it another. Snowas. Wow. Yeah, that's a real animal. Snows in rattlesnakes, I believe, are typically albino aneries. Albino aneries are, I believe, what is in the...
I've never seen anery in a Western.
So...
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, just I haven't seen it.
I believe that's what it's called. It also could be just albino xanthixes, which is what ball python snows are.
So then he sent you, what did he say next?
He said, "I got the Lucy. I want to show you this.
Here comes a picture for you from Kurt.
I got that male in my house. The guy who sold him to me didn't know what planet he was on. Sold to me as an albino. That eye ain't red. The one dude who has this unicorn didn't have a fucking clue."
Yep. The guy that, yep.
So I replied, "Do you have a picture of the whole body?" Because, again, I know that I can take pictures of things in certain lightings, not even intentionally, and not get the whole picture, get something. I mean, how many black-eyed ball pythons have you seen that you're like, oh, that's a blue-eyed, because just the way the lighting catches, yada, yada, yada. And he said, yes, he hadn't sent it yet. So I replied, "Did he say where he got it?" Because, again, I'm trying to get a whole complete story. If it's wild caught, there's some more validity to it. If he produced it, what's the pairing? Because again, that's going to give us more information on what could cause this kind of mutation. Yeah, if there's multiple, because we have they're called bubblegums. They're also called lavender albinos, but they're melanistic albino rattlesnakes. And as it aged, it's pretty light. Like the yellow is kind of there. You don't really see the striping. It's almost one solid color, and it's pretty faded.
Yep.
And in a certain lighting, that eye is kind of blue. It's not really red at all. So again, trying to find that pairing, because if it was...
The albino right behind you is not really a blue or red eye either.
Right.
Albinos and Westerns just don't have a solid red eye.
Right. So, I'm trying to get a whole complete picture. He said he wouldn't tell me I'm upset about that shady mother effer.
Yeah, you can say it's well sent.
And then he sent 3 photos, and those will be on right now. As you can see, it is white, but I can see pattern off the bat already. You can see the diamonds. And it's using red light, which is notorious for throwing off the actual color of the animal.
Absolutely.
It just is. And he said 5 foot plus, ready to breed. So it's a good sized rattlesnake. I said, do you have any photos without red light on? Again, trying to get a whole picture because red light is notorious for affecting the color, especially if you're using your phone as a photo. There's auto filters that are, even if you turn off all filters, most phones have some sort of auto filter they put on that to adjust the lighting and contrast, and that will. It's so much so that actually courts are saying zoomed in photos and things like that from an iPhone, I don't know about Androids, are actually not able to be used in court.
Android still will because it's far superior to iPhone. I don't know. Just making shit up.
But that technology, because of that, is making that evidence in court thrown out. Inadmissible. Can't be used.
So then he did send you a picture though, right?
He did. And that thing, and not red light. And again, I guess this is my bad. I should have clarified because there are 2 snakes in this photo. I'm assuming he's talking about the one up front. But it could be this one back here. I don't know.
Even a snake back there?
It looks like it. Because you got the... I don't know. So I assumed it's the one up front because why would you take... You'll see what I'm talking about. Why would you take a photo off-centered like that? And that snake is pretty dang yellow. Agree?
Yeah.
He said, I haven't had a lot of time to take photos. How about I take one now for you? Hold on 20 seconds. I was like, yeah, no rush. I'm intrigued because, again, if this does turn out to be a leucistic, this is something cool. I'm really intrigued about. So, again.
So far, this conversation is going exactly how it should go.
And I'm not trying to say anything it's not because I don't know. And then he sent 3 more photos. And you can see there is a lot of yellow patterning in it, especially towards that back, which is where we see a lot of... really orangish color come through on the albinos and different caramel albinos and purple hazes and things that we make. The orange like that is very typical of an albino. He said, can you believe I found this whale in Cali? Dude didn't understand. He kept calling it an albino with blue eye. And I'm like, what the fuck? Lucy all day. He's worth way more than 600 for sure. 600 for sure. All right. Dude was sleeping in this. I went there for a melanistic and a caramel female, left with a unicorn on top. I'm dying. Sickest Atrox on the West Coast. I'm going to breed him the 2024 season for Gen 1. Absolutely, he should. Right? That is one thing I've always made clear with people is if there's something that just doesn't seem right, the really only way to tell is if you breed that out. And I said, I'll be honest, all of our albinos don't really have red eyes. My exact words, all our albinos are without red eyes. They just are. It's mostly a teal. There can be a gray. It just kind of depends. Yep. And I said, the one on the photo looks pretty yellow.
It does.
And he said, that's just lighting. It's pure white. I took those through glass. And I said, I'll have to see a photo in natural lighting or something outside of the glass. He said he would open it up. And he said, I'm not trying to get tagged. See him next to the caramel, how white he is. And again, he did. And here's another photo next to a caramel. But when you look at that, a leucistic will be...
Leucistic should be white.
White. And there is a lot of yellow diamonds in that photo. Yep. But again, not really the best photo for me to be able to tell.
It is a very light-colored snake.
It is.
But... It's again, you guys are seeing the photo.
And then this is another one. This is of the face, right? It's through the glass. You can see the yellow on the lips, the yellow, I call them eyebrows and eyelashes underneath the I guess, what is it? Is this the occipital bone?
Probably.
I think this is called the occipital bone. If you're in the medical field and I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I'm an animal guy. And you look at that eye, and there is some blue to there, but there's a lot of reflection, and there is a red tint to that
the pupil.
Pupil. Yeah. And he said, through the glass, but I'm going to the best. I'm doing best. Through glass, but I'm doing best see blue. I can't get any closer to the eye without getting hit. In person, eye is nice blue. It's the one thing you notice about him. Even through glass, I feel that I pick pretty good albinos. Even though through glass, I feel that I pick pretty good albinos don't have blue eyes. I said, I hope you can prove it out by breeding it. Hard to say for what I can see.
So time out. So far, this has gone exactly how it should go. There has been nothing wrong with this conversation and how we should conduct ourselves on both sides of the fence. Mm-hmm. Somebody asking a question, somebody answering it. Perfect. Perfect.
And he said, I was going to ask you about that. Hopefully it isn't because I want purple haze next season, but that's pref. But I'm breeding it to melanistic and to a caramel albino. When the caramel albino don't come out right, all hets, that would prove it, I think. And I said, there is 2 non-compatible lines of albino, T negative, T positive. So you have straight albino and you have caramel albino. So I said, there's caramel albino, and then, well, he replied, is there one albino in your collection with blue eyes? I didn't quite read that yet. I was still finishing my statement from the T negative, T positive. So there's caramel albino and the standard albino, which can come out pretty whitish as adults. And then he replied again, do any of yours have blue eyes? Just white and red, right? And I said, not just white and red, but I recommend breeding to a standard albino, not a caramel albino, because this is very obviously not a caramel albino. The determination is whether it's a standard albino or leucistic.
Yes.
He said, the only thing I have up for it is melanistic then. My multi-gene albino in neonate. You say not just white and red. What other colors do you see? The science of all of this is saying that albinos don't have blue unless you have paradoxy shit at your pad. And at this point, this is, I think, it's feed night. And I'm just like, I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. You're going to have to breed it out. But from the photos, I'm hesitant to call Lucy, but photos can be deceiving.
So even still there, Caleb spent time. He's answered the question. Said, hey, man, I don't know for sure. This is what it looks like to me. But breed it out. And again, I still think both sides have conducted themselves well.
And he said, have you ever seen an albino with a blue eye at your breeding ops? And my reply is, and I probably should have phrased this differently than I did, but I said, I can't say yours has blue, but best of luck to you. What I probably should have said is, based on the lighting, I cannot for say sure through the glass, because you've already said the yellows are not the true colors because of the glass. So if you're saying that, then I cannot trust that the blue of the eyes is the same color, which is what I should have said, but it's not. To which he sent this photo again, which you've seen
But
earlier.
do you think that's offensive?
No.
I mean,
no,
could you
but
have
I
been-
could have explained a little better,
You
but
could have
it's
been more
not.
clear,
Yes.
but you weren't offensive.
No.
You weren't, hey, fuck you. You
Right.
weren't anything like that. Okay.
To which, and that was the last message I sent to him. Best of luck to you. Because at this point, there's nothing more I can add. He proceeded to send a duplicate photo of that face again, kind of like what we talked about, and said, you can see it here. If you don't see blue in there, I'm kind of confused. But whatever. Later, dude.
Okay. And even now, if you're a little miffed because we didn't give you the answer you wanted, and you want to do that and you want to go about your merry way, that's fine. I don't care about that. But then what happens?
And then he messages me again. This is about 3 hours
You had never
later.
messaged them in the meantime.
No.
You were done.
I zoomed in for you. Looks like dirt and pure white skin to me as well. I'm going to work for sure. Blue eye there. For sure, blue eye there, though. Turn the brightness up. I'm not going to adjust the brightness because that is, again, affecting the contrast of the photo. And it's a really grainy photo. I can't say for sure. But at this point, I've said what I've said. And there's not more for me to add, so I'm not going to continue. He's obviously upset. You can tell. So I'm not going to further that conversation.
You didn't respond, did you?
So I didn't respond because there's no point.
And then we woke up to what?
So I get up at 6 in the morning for work, actually about 5:45, and I had just hopped out of the shower, and I saw I had 2 messages on Instagram. Thought, well, I've got a little time. I got done a little early.
And not just type messages.
No. So when I pulled them up, they are 2 voice messages, and I believe we're going to play them for you now.
Oh, my God. Fuck yeah, play those things.
So here is the first one, and I'm going to turn up my volume all the way
Full
so you can
blast,
hear it.
baby.
Oh, come on.
Are you sure you're on full blast?
Yes. Why are we not working?
So sorry for the cut. You know we try to film these in one take. However, we were able to get the Instagram messaging working on Kurt's phone. So here they are in their entirety. Message 1, 56 seconds.
Just being straight up with you. I showed those 2 pictures to like 6 or 7 people, and you're the only person that can't see the blue eye or the white of the snake. It makes you look like a dumbass, bro.
Go.
Like you can look at a pure blue eye and go, oh, I can't safely say it's blue. You know, you want us all to wait while you clean your fucking glasses real quick. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have said nothing, but everybody else I showed those two pictures to was like, damn, that's a blue eye, damn, that's a white snake. And you're, oh, I can't safely say the eye's blue, bro. I don't fucking think you know a lot about what you're talking about. Like, I hit you up and you didn't really tell me much, and then I'm showing you like specific colors. Like, I could take that eye on my computer and dip that color with a fucking tester, and it'll show up as blue on my computer too. So like, it's just crazy that you're the only one that can't see the blue in the eye. Let me wait while you fucking finish lunch and clean your fucking glasses then, bro. For real. Go clean your fucking glasses before you look at that picture.
So that was message number 1. He said you didn't tell him a whole lot. Let me edit that for me. You didn't tell me what I want to hear. Let's play message 2.
It's crazy, like, it's really making me doubt that you're a snake expert. Yeah, you're a breeder, but like the expert part, I don't know. Like, I can't believe I'm arguing about the logistics of a blue eye, and you're not going immediately, oh, it's a leucistic. You're like, bro, there's no such thing as an albino with a blue eye. There's not one in your whole fucking op. So, like, that's all I'm saying. It just makes you look less and less credible that I'm showing you a real blue eye that we can test on a computer, and you're saying anything but it's a leucistic. Let me bring you back to genetics 101. It is impossible for an albino to have a blue eye. It is impossible. Not even in paradox line could this happen. Impossible.
Say it in broken Spanish, and it must be true. So anyway, there you guys go. You got the message in entirety with those adding on. The only things I would add is, 1, there's a few things that I will say are obviously fake in there. Like we talked about, blue eye doesn't equal leucistic. That's a ball python thing, because we call them Bell's blue eye leucistics. But there are plenty of leucistic animals that don't have a blue eye. Blue also exists, I'm sure, in the eyes of reptiles outside of leucistic. Can you think of a couple off the top of your head?
Yeah, there's literally an animal called a blue-eyed crested dragon, and it has blue eyes. It goes for about $50. You should look into it. They're pretty cool.
And it's not leucistic? It's not a blue-eyed leucistic crested dragon?
No, it's a blue-eyed crested dragon. They are green, very pretty. They look like a Chinese water dragon except cooler, and they have blue eyes because that's their normal natural color.
Bro, it's got to be leucistic. Did you clean your fucking glasses and see that?
I don't even wear glasses.
All right, so anyway, we got those edited in there. Thank you for your patience, and sorry about the cut.
And then to question whether I'm actually an expert, which, not to toot my own horn, but I did go to school to be a zookeeper, and I was a zookeeper, which, being paid to do a job with animals, by definition makes you a professional, and my study was in reptiles, which technically makes me an expert. I'm not saying I know everything. Cool thing about science, as we learn, is there's about 7 new published papers every 30 minutes. It's less about now what you know and now more about what you can find out and how fast. But I do consider myself an expert in most species of animals. I've worked with quite a few. I've been trained by people who have been trained by Steve Irwin himself. Wow. I do feel like I'm kind of an expert.
But were you ever trained by anybody trained by Joe Exotic?
We're going to leave that subject alone. Because that, I think, discredits just a slight bit.
No, if you say no, it doesn't.
Well,
no.
But that would be lying.
No.
So, we'll touch on it real quick. I have. Sure. Everything you see on Netflix is probably pretty close to what Joe is. But at one point in time, Joe was actually a very passionate animal person. Probably still is in some way, shape, or form. And was actually very well versed in animal husbandry. So, yes, I have to some capacity.
And I also know where you used to work had connections to the late, great Jack Hanna.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who is definitely an animal expert. Or was. He's not now.
Absolutely.
God rest Jack Hanna's soul. He was like the original, for you youngins out there, he was like Steve Irwin before Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put Jack Hanna.
And, I have thick skin. I can take a lot of curse words. The part that really jabbed me the most,
Grinded my gears
was, I don't think you're an expert, bro. And it was the bro afterwards, because, that's just condescending. Now you're just being an ass. So, what did I do? I could have replied with a whole lot of explicits and said, yada, 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 and then blocked him, because then I would have gotten the last laugh. But instead, I decided to go to someone who I would consider way more of a venomous specialist than me.
Not just a venomous specialist. We reached out to somebody and shared some of the pictures. And I'm not going to drop their names. I didn't ask permission to drop their names, so I'm not going to use their name. Who I would consider, when it comes to especially Atrox, one of the leading people when it comes to morphology and Aatrox.
Yeah.
Like one of the most well-versed in the different morphs and identification of morphs, and has probably done more Aatrox breeding than most. And you sent almost all the pictures to him, right?
I sent all the pictures, and I even did that guy solid. I left his name out. I left all the inappropriate stuff, all the...
And so what did you send to the actual...
The message was, this was sent to me asking if I thought leucistic Western Diamondback. They bought as albino and didn't like my answers. What are your thoughts? I didn't even tell him my answers because I didn't want that to have any sort of sway in judgment. I sent the photos and I said I couldn't tell with the photos not being super clear. And so I didn't want to give a definitive answer. And he, within, I can tell you...
Because I was here. It was
within a minute, because I sent that at 7:38. He replied at 7:39.
Like
he said, no, albino. Hard to tell from the pics, but could be an ivory albino, just a mutation of a mutation. A very pale with bluish eyes, but not albino. And then he sent me a photo of 4 different rattlesnakes. One's a wild type, next to each other. One's a wild type, one's an albino, one's a caramel albino, and one is what he calls the caramel albino.
The ivory albino.
Or ivory albino. And I said, that's kind of what I was thinking. And he said, I bet there's visible rings on that tail. Basically saying there's color on that tail. So then I screenshotted that, sent that to the gentleman.
Leaving the name out.
Again, leaving the name out. And I said, didn't mean to offend you with any opinion that you asked. That's true. I did not mean to.
It's not our goal.
The photos are hard to see a clear picture, and the glass can really affect the color, which is why I'm hesitant to call it. Even after you decided to become a child, I reached out to someone who is by far one of the best venomous snake morphs guys out there, and he agrees. So I do hope you the best. That's how I ended it.
And we didn't hear back.
We did not. That was a week ago, tomorrow.
So let me go on here and say I think Caleb handled this very, very well. I wish the audio would have
I know, I'm so mad about that.
Because it was just a complete rant, just laced with fuck you and fuck this and you dumbasses and all of that. And you know what? I don't really care about, I don't even know this guy's name and it doesn't matter to me. I don't care about his opinion of Caleb, me, or Kurt whatsoever. It doesn't really matter to me at all. What does matter to me, though, is if you're going to reach out to people in this hobby, whether it's me, Caleb, somebody else, I don't care who it is, you know, the guy down the street, whoever, don't act like an asshole when you don't like what they have to say. There's absolutely no reason for that. None. You know, we could go farther, we could name drop this guy, we could have tried to flame this, and we could have taken what we found out to prove him, and just, we could have ran with that. We're not going to do that because there's nothing to gain.
No.
That would just be us then turn around to be the childish ass.
No, and something else that he kind of talked about in his voicemail message, because I even talked to Curtis about this one, or maybe I talked to you about this, is he said he put that on his computer and did the little eyedropper to get the color.
Told me about that.
And yes, that is a thing. You can go on there's things on your phone, I'm pretty sure, but on your computer you can pull up a photo, take an eyedropper, and that will tell you what color it is. Here's the thing. The photo, or the eyedropper is going off what that pixel you touched is.
Yeah.
Which means if it looks blue, it's gonna choose blue. It's not saying in real life that this shirt color right here, even though we know it's purple, but if you put a dropper on it and it said it's red, this is not red. We know that in real life, but if the photo shows it as red, the eyedropper is gonna say it's red. It's kind of like that, it was almost like 15 years ago probably, when there was those black and gold and blue and black dress. It was the same photo of the dress, but some people saw it as different colors.
Yes.
Well, you put the eyedropper on it, it says it's one thing, but again, that is just a photo of,
well, yeah.
You know, so it's not an accurate way to...
And not to mention, blue eyes doesn't make a leucistic anyway.
No.
That's ball python speak. We have blue-eyed leucistic and ball pythons, right?
Yeah, that's a black-eyed leucistic.
That's a black-eyed leucistic.
Yeah.
What color? I don't know off the top of my head. What color are an alligator's eyes that are leucistic? Are they blue?
I think they're like a white.
That's what I was thinking. You know, so like, not all leucistics have blue eyes.
So, and I looked this up too. I was going to send this, but I decided not to because there was just no point in furthering this. But the actual definition of a leucistic is the wiping out of a certain color of pigment without affecting the eyes.
There you go.
So you don't have to have blue eyes. Because one of the things he did say in the video was the definition of a leucistic is blue eyes, bruh. He said bruh a lot. That also is a word that I say it sometimes. But when you're like cursing at someone, you're just like bruh. Every other word, that's too much, man.
Yeah. You don't know me. Like, we're not brah.
No.
You know?
So, there's a lot of... And I do think that somewhat has to do with the ball python community. We're really bad about naming things the correct way, or not even correct way, but we just come up with so many god-awful names about shit that we should probably be more simple.
Maybe.
But
we should. But that's a whole other video. We've talked about our issues with the ball python naming, and we've been guilty of it ourselves.
I'm so mad it's not working.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed.
I'm going to go upstairs, be playing with it, and it'll start working again, I'm sure.
If it does, we'll share it on Patreon. So,
Yeah.
Kurt, what are your thoughts when you contact somebody who you don't know for an opinion and they give you one you don't like? Does that give you the right to be a dick?
No, you just go your merry way. Just say, well, I don't agree with that, and then try to prove it wrong.
There you go. Have we had to do that ourselves multiple times?
Yeah.
We've also reached out for opinions and been given opinions, been like, well, shit, that makes sense. And that person's been right. And sometimes we try to I don't think so, and they're still right. Sometimes I don't think so, and they're wrong. But we don't go out there and have a dick measuring contest for the world to see. It's pointless. Don't do that. All you're going to do when you do things like that is now, if I ever run into this guy, selling something, I'm just like, no chance. Not a chance.
Even if he
Not
comes,
happening.
even if he comes back and it turns out it was albino, or even if it proves out that I was wrong, not a chance. I will not do business with someone who is so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like that. It's a respect thing.
It could be leucistics, and he could call me up and be like, hey, man, bro, I want to sell you these leucistics, bro, for $300, bro. You want one? And I'd be like, how about no? How about I don't want one?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day...
Unless it's scaleless.
I was never definitive. It's not. I said, this is what I'm thinking based on this.
Yeah, and you're a professional with them. Yeah. And, until the very end, until you had the 5 messages in a row, and then the 2 voicemails... He was fine.
Yeah.
It went from, hey, I'm asking your thoughts, to now I want to argue about it. And you're not engaging me in an argument. And so now I'm going to be an asshole. That's what it turned into.
It's like when you have those arguments in your head and you think you're winning and you're not even arguing with anyone. Like afterwards, you're like, you're not arguing with anyone more, but you're going to continue that argument in your head. And then it just bottled up into these 2 voicemails. Because I'm sure in his head, he probably thinks I was trying to be disrespectful or offensive.
Maybe. I don't know.
Based on those voicemails, because they were quite interesting. He was quite the happy fella.
I thought he was hammered, but y'all said you think he's sober.
I just think he was just upset.
It could be just upset.
Yeah, and not justifying what he did, because it was completely out of line.
Out of line.
But I can understand the excitement of thinking you found something and then having someone poo-poo it. And, that's not what I was trying to do, but I could see where there would be some upsetness, but that's where you just swallow your pride, take your licks, and say, you know what, fine, I'll just prove you wrong. Don't actually say that, but you do the work to prove me wrong.
Yep.
And I want him to. I would love to have a blue-eyed leucistic rattlesnake. It'd be cool.
There's been hundreds of opinions that have been proven wrong. I'll give you a classic example that goes into ball pythons. And that was the opinion on the sunset ball python originally by Brian Barczyk. He bought 2 sunsets, or he bought a sunset. He bred it. It did not produce anything. That was sunset. He said, well, this project's a dead end and stupid. He threw it in the back of it. Maybe not those exact words. He threw it in the back of his rack in the room and just raised those things up. And his employee said, hey, maybe that's recessive. I think I would like to try to work with them. And Brian said, for the most part, from the story I heard, whatever, dude, you're kind of wasting your time. But if you wanted to do it, I don't care if you want to breed 2 together. It's whatever to me. And out pop sunsets. And Brian went, damn, that's a good employee right there. Hell yeah. He's making me some cash. So we all have opinions that get proven wrong. It can be a great thing, but we just need to handle each other respectfully.
Absolutely.
And I paraphrase a lot of that. Wasn't the actual word-for-word conversation that Brian was in.
Right.
But my point being is, could we be wrong and that be something?
Sure. I hope so.
Is it likely?
No.
Especially when we talked to the other guy. He said,
you know what? A perfect example of this, and I don't know if Curtis was actually like believing it was going to produce an ivory. But when those bloods were laid, we were like, yeah, there's not a chance we're getting an ivory. And Curtis would say, yeah, we're going to get 7. So that's why it's always hard to tell if he's serious or if he's joking. But he got an ivory out of it. He proved us wrong. He didn't talk a lot of smack.
He took a curt victory lap afterwards.
Yes, but he
we told him he should. He deserved it. He earned it.
You know, there wasn't any of this, well, fuck you, you know, it's just, no, I think we are. And we were wrong. Yep. And you know what we said? Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. And then leading up to it, when that was all going on, you know, Kurt kept the belief, and we're trying to let him down, like, well, Kurt, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to happen. And you were like, God, I hope he ain't too disappointed when we cut those eggs. There ain't no damn ivories. And then sure shit, there's an ivory.
Yeah.
It's like clockwork.
There's just a way to do it.
There is. There's a way to do it. Not that guy did it wrong. So, we didn't use your name. If you happen to watch this, probably not, because you're probably still pouting that Caleb was mean to you. Just don't be an asshole, man. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
Take it as a learning experience and move on. And hopefully you got something. I look at it, and it looks like an interesting thing, because it's light. We know I talked about it, the same thing. But as soon as we hit up the guy that I have full faith in, that knows way more than me, and he came back that quick with a definitive, I'm in the camp. That's what you got. You probably got an albino. Probably an ivory albino. Looking at how light it is probably is one of the ivory albinos, but it's just a mutation upon the albino. So play with it. Have fun. It's probably nothing. Yeah. If it is, that's awesome. But don't get all assed up. Take your victory lap when you prove something right.
Absolutely.
And even then, don't be an asshole, because all you're going to do is alienate people.
Yep.
Moral of the story is what?
Don't be an asshole.
Exactly. Craig, you want to add? All right, guys, that's all I got. We're going to go over to Patreon and probably laugh at assholes. We'll see you all next time.